Millennium Question. What is the defining question of the third millennium AD? No single question has more of a future today than the question of man. René Girard. Hello, dear reader. This week I pose to you, what is the defining question of the third millennium AD? Right out of the gate, one may immediately object to the premise of this question. After all, there are a multitude of riddles facing us this eon, and one may feel that no single question outweighs all others. On the other hand, if one will humor the premise, there may be many queries that spring to mind. Some of these might be, how do we avoid nuclear war? How do we get to Mars? Might we develop interstellar physics? Thank you, Eric Weinstein, for promoting this. How do we program AI so that it does not destroy us? And so forth. These are central questions indeed. They are incredibly important and deserve our utmost attention and effort to resolve them. I should like to suggest in this essay, however, that there is one question more important than even these noble problems, for our answer to this question will have ramifications on all the others. This question has been hinted at and proposed by luminaries ranging from Peter Thiel all the way to Pope St. John Paul II, as well as a philosopher René Girard, who is widely considered to be one of, if not the most important philosophers of the 20th century. This question is, what is man? There's currently not a widely accepted and adequate theory of who and what humans are today in the early 21st century. The classical Christian understanding of man as a pilgrim in this life, what philosopher Gabriel Marcel describes as homo viator, or man on a journey, has been widely discarded, and all other attempts to replace it have become stale or even dangerous. The current scientific name for man, Homo sapiens, or wise man, does not seem to hold against much scrutiny. That's probably putting it lightly. One has only to glimpse at a newspaper to see that folly is just as much, if not more, a part of our nature than wisdom. The musician Grimes, a very successful artist in her own right, as well as mother of 3 of Elon Musk's children, has proposed that we have already become homo techno, technological man, or man as cyborg. The historian Yuval Noah Harari goes even farther and suggests that we are on the verge of becoming homo deus, or man as God, thanks to our technological powers. Even more names than these have been put forth, yet none have truly stuck or become widely imbibed by our society. We are currently, therefore, as of this third millennium, hurtling through space on a beautiful blue orb without a clear and agreed-upon consensus of who we truly are. As novelist Walker Percy states, in the modern era in which we live, we continue to understand the cosmos more and more while seeming to understand ourselves less and less. Say we make it to Mars in just a few years. What kind of creature is it exactly that will be landing there? Are the humans who will step foot on the red planet fundamentally good? Are they fundamentally evil? Are they fundamentally good, but at the same time problematic, in that they often know the right thing to do, yet don't do it? Do they even enjoy doing the wrong thing sometimes? Is it the case that they have genuinely good and well-intentioned desires, yet also at times are selfish and not exactly wholesome? And what makes this creature happy? Does it just need its physical, emotional, and self-actualization needs met? Does the quote from St. Augustine around the 4th century that our hearts are restless until they rest in God still apply millennia later? Is the bipedal mammal who builds rocket ships somehow both body and soul, matter and spirit? Is he simply a collection of atoms not categorically different from, say, a rock or an amoeba or tiger? Is he fundamentally an individual, purely part of a collective? Is he somehow both an individual and individual in relation with others? For the past few centuries of the modern era, we have come to view this question of human nature as either too difficult to answer, too controversial to answer, or not even worth answering in the first place. Who cares, one may say. That said, entrepreneur and author Luke Burgess describes why this question is so important for us as we proceed over the next few centuries. He writes in his article, The Three-City Problem of Modern Life, if we continue to pretend that human nature is an unknowable X, then we will continue to build technology for an unknowable creature, and be surprised when we find misery in our midst. How we think of ourselves greatly influences the kinds of technologies, communities, and cultures we build. If we are truly Homo sapiens, wise man, for instance, then nuclear weapons are really not that big of a deal. We are wise enough to steward them, and they should pose no real threat. On the other hand, for instance, if human beings do not always behave in a way that is wise and good, maybe we should ponder whether we should insert computer chips into our brains to receive superintelligence and abilities. Because so many other questions depend on our understanding of ourselves, René Girard rightly concludes that no single question has more of a future than the question of man. As this essay draws to a close, I do not wish to leave the reader hanging by not proposing any sort of answer to this question. I can at least offer here some food for thought by way of two quotes from the great 20th century theologian Henry Henri de Lubac. He writes in his book, The Discovery of God, that man, made in the image of the incomprehensible God, is ultimately incomprehensible to himself. This may seem to suggest that the question is impossible, but he does go on, however, to say that one can know yourself by knowing your God. Begin as far as it is possible for a mortal to contemplate his face in recollection. Perhaps then, to answer the question of what is man, in this millennium which promises to be turbulent, exciting, and likely very dangerous, it may just be the case that we will have to seek outside of ourselves. And perhaps if we seek, we will find something to ponder.